everyone, I'm Sarah and we're here to talk about our Pink Oyster mushroom grow kits. Now, I did a video previously about just our grow kits in general, but today we're going to be talking about the Pink Oyster specifically. Now, in your Pink Oyster grow kit, you'll have the normal items of your instruction manual, a humidity tent with slits cut in it, your do's and don'ts for those of us that don't read the instruction manual, and a recipe card with a recipe for rigatoni with pink oyster mushrooms. So that's a pasta dish, which is very delicious if I say so. And your little spray bottle. So that's everything in your box, along with the grow medium. So I'll go into detail a little bit about the grow process of the pink oyster specifically, and I'll show you a couple different stages of its growth. So to start off, we have this block here, which is in the early stages of its mycelium growth. So mycelium is kind of like the roots of the mushroom. Not really, it's the main body. So mycelium is like the tree, and the actual mushrooms that fruit are like the apple. Now, pink oyster block, when you first see it, it's white, and then once it gets to its later stages, you start to see the pink color come through. You can see it at the top there. So the pink oysters are the only ones with this color. Now it shouldn't have this dense pink stuff on the top. This bag is a little too mature, so that's why I'll be cutting it today. But it should look something like that. Now, when you're setting up your block, in the previous video I mentioned that you'll be following the instructions and cutting your block. I'll show you what that's like today. I'm going to be taking a knife. Now, if you're a minor, do this with adult supervision, because, you know, sharp objects. And you're going to be cutting. I usually start with the side that doesn't have the label on it, but if there's any spots that aren't as populated, so if there's any darker spots, try the other side first. And you're going to be cutting in 2 X marks on one side of the bag. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can watch. Now notice I'm making a very shallow cut, so I'm barely even piercing the bag. So you can see I have my blade very, very shallow, just like that. You're just cutting the plastic itself and not the actual block, because you don't want to harm the mycelium. You're going to make another cut here. Just make sure it cuts all the way through. There you go. You've made your cuts. Now you're going to fold over the top. Down like that. And lay your block down. That makes sure that the mushrooms have nowhere else to grow. They'll just grow at the top. Then you're going to take your humidity tent here, and you're going to fill this little bottle up with fresh water. Doesn't really matter if it's tap water or bottled or filtered or whatever, it's just water. And you're going to spray it into the bag about 15 to 20 times, enough that the full bag is damp but not soaked. So you don't want any pooling happening. Then take your bag and flip it upside down so it covers your block. So that creates the humidity that you want for your block. Now, once you've done that, that's it. You leave that, you spray into the bag again about 3 to 5 times a day, spread out throughout the day. And for the pink oysters, you should expect to start to see some growth in, I would estimate, around 3 to 4 days. You should be harvesting within a week. So the pink oysters are one of our fastest mushrooms that grow. And they're a very pretty mushroom. There's our grow kit done. And I should mention that when I do this at home, I like to put my grow block on a baking sheet or in a large Tupperware container, just to catch any condensation. You don't want to ruin whatever table you have it on, so that's what I recommend. Now, I have a couple examples of different stages of the pink oyster mushroom growth. Here we have a good example of what it looks like right at the start of its cycle. So this would be about 2, maybe 3 days in. You'll start to see these little bumpy little mushrooms here. Now, don't pick those aren't ready to eat yet. Then you'll start to see them open up a bit more. You'll start to see these gills, and they get a little bit ruffly. Now, these mushrooms grow really fast. So they'll go from this stage to this stage literally within a day. So you need to keep an eye on them. They'll get to this stage, and that's when you want to pick them. They're ready to harvest. You can see they get kind of frilly at the top. Their gills are fully open. They've got this funky texture. And they're starting to get a little more pale. So after this, they turn this yellow color. You can see it here. And that's how you know they've gone too far. You want to get them before they start to turn yellow. They turn more of a pale pink before they do that. Now, to harvest them, you're just going to wiggle your hand in and under and pop it right off the block. Pink oysters need a little bit more force sometimes, but you should be able to just pop them off with enough leverage. So, see, I didn't take much of the block out there. And we have a full cluster of pink oysters right here. You can see into them a bit. And every part of this mushroom is edible except for the growing medium. So you just need to pick off the growing medium and you're good. Now, when you harvest your pink oysters, some important tips to think about when cooking them is that the pink oysters, like they grow really fast, they also cook really fast. So you want to try and cook them on low heat for a short amount of time because they burn quite quickly. We have our recipe cards with a good recipe on it, but even if you just want to fry them up with some butter, garlic, onions, maybe a little bit of bacon in there to really bring out the bacon flavor, that would be delicious. As the instructions say, they have kind of a bacon flavor as well as a nutty flavor. So sometimes that comes through, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on what stage you pick your mushrooms. But they are really delicious. I have also, on this YouTube channel, I have a video of a time lapse of the growing process of the Pink Oyster mushrooms. So you can go ahead and watch that to see each stage, and I have it so it progresses even past harvest. So you can see what it would look like if you waited too long. Now once you've harvested that one side of your block and you've picked everything from that side, you're going to take some packing tape, the clear wide packing tape, and tape up that one side. Make sure all of the holes you've made are covered so that you don't have any leakage when you flip it over. And you're going to flip it over and cut the other side. So you can repeat that process as many times as you feel necessary, or until the block dries out. So as long as there is water in the block, it will keep fruiting. But eventually this block will dry up, and you'll be able to tell because it will get really, really light. It'll feel a lot like a dry block of dirt. I hope this video was helpful, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section of this video or any of our other videos, or you can contact us at our email. Happy growing!